Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A good Monday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. We are live on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, YouTube, as well as not live, but you can get us wherever you get your podcasts. Matt Iwanyk, Murray McCourt, Zachticum with you here on the Hangout today, which is presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada's storage experts. There are more than 2 decades of helping Canadians through life's transitions. Right now, it is still Snowy Savings, which is the first 4 weeks free plus free cancellation. For more details, sentinel.ca to find out, as I said, more details or a convenient location nearest you. Lots to get to today. Zach brought notes, which I'm very excited about.
I brought none
Small
today,
little sticky notes.
Because for us, it's just all up here, Murray.
Well,
Yeah.
last time I brought notes, and I threw it up in the air after my big rant.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Stewards
Maybe you
get
need
it
the
back
notes
to
because
back.
you could have another rant.
Well, what would I rant about today, though? I don't know.
I don't know.
What would be
Life
something
is
to
good.
rant about? I'm just trying to think if there's something in sports I would rant about right now from the weekend.
Well, Dusty
don't think
coined
so,
it the NFL mild card weekend.
Well, they did drop the what did it used to be called the Super Wild Card weekends.
Super.
Yeah, and they dropped Super this year.
The Ultra Incredible
people noticed
Super
it wasn't
Wild
very
Card
super.
weekend.
It was not super at all.
super, so maybe it was a good thing.
We had Texans beating the Chargers. Justin Herbert, 4 interceptions. We had the Ravens. They took care of business against the Steelers. I was getting worried in the second half. The Steelers got the ball back. They were down 2 scores. I'm like, if they score a touchdown here, it's a 1-score game, and the Ravens are going to lose this football game. They didn't, though. But I'm always a very pessimistic fan with my teams. Bills, after just that first early touchdown with the Broncos. If the Broncos make that kick at the end of the first half, maybe it's a little bit of a different story, but they run away within the second half. And then we had, what do we have? Eagles took down the decimated Green Bay Packers. And then we had a close game last night. It was all right.
Two teams that really aren't very good anyways, so...
Yeah, it was all right.
That doink was amazing, though. Like, I was just thinking
talking about?
The winning
yes,
doink.
That's the one I should remember. Come
Make
on,
it
Matt.
23-20 it was, right? That they won by just in the dying seconds there and seeing like Baker Mayfield's face just so sad. But I was thinking about Jay Milne the entire time and how he just loves kickers. It's his favorite position in football. And it all came down to the kicker. And he made the kick. He did.
And
just barely.
He's also a Washington fan, is he not?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the kicking part. I'll have to
That's all I
ask him
could
about that
think
when
of.
he comes in today.
That's all I
He's
could
not
think of.
fan. He was not a fan of Boris Beatty, especially this year.
Wow. Hard to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he's very harsh on kickers, we learned. And his kicker almost blew it because the other doink was Broncos had the doink at the end of the first half against the Bills. That's why I asked which doink it was. But yeah, what a way to win. Just the ringing off that goes through still. Commander, first win since 2005 in the playoffs.
Which is crazy.
You were 2.
They've been trashed for a long time, and I mean that's the thing in the NFL. You get a high-end quarterback early, and it can turn your team around. And coaching too. They got a good coach.
You weren't even 2. You were 1.
Yeah,
Your
technically
birthday's
I
in
would have been
October?
one. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
I don't
And
think
so
about that. I never had it.
So you were born in 90 or 03.
No, yeah.
So like a year and like 3 months. The last time the Commanders won a football game.
Wow.
That's how old Zach was.
And I was born, well, it would have been like 5 or 6 months after, who would have been, the Devils won their Stanley Cup in 2003. Right? I think
Is
so,
that
yeah.
when their last cup?
I did the math, yeah.
That's been that long.
Mm-hmm. And then it was
They've gone there
04,
at least
05
once
where
or
nobody
twice.
won. Because I was trying to remember, like my brother, he was born the last time a Canadian team won, the Canadians, so 93. I always look at that. I'm like, oh, you had some cool stuff in the year that you were born.
Well, at least none of us are Maple Leafs fans because
Yeah.
I'm 54 and Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup in my lifetime. That's insane.
Tommy's pointed out they've never won a hockey game past the second rounds because they've only won Stanley Cups with 6 teams. And they've won every cup they won was pre-expansion.
Wow.
Which is even more
That
crazy.
is just crazy.
And I think my dad was too the last time Toronto won.
When was Toronto? When did
Well, it
they
would have
win?
been
67, I think, wasn't
67, yeah.
67. Then
Maybe
my
been like
dad
4.
would have been 9. Depending when they won, actually, my dad would have been about to turn 9. And my mom is 2 years younger. So,
it? Yeah. And I
Some
was
rough
born. Like
stats.
that, like, it's insane to think about going that long without winning a championship. If you're like, especially in Toronto, the capital of the world, right? The best city in the world, according to them.
well, it's like, imagine going back to being a Cubbies fan. It was literally over 100 years. Can't remember what the official number ended up being. 108? Could be off on that. Since between their wins,
Yeah.
people lived an entire life. Born, died, and didn't see their team win the championship. Even if they lived a very long life. You could have lived a life of 90 years. Very fulfilling life. You just never saw your Cubbies go win the World Series.
That's the Cubs.
That was the Cubs.
So-
until they won in 15, I believe it was. It was a big deal.
Well, you think of like rough sports nowadays, like the entire just Chicago sports world, because nobody's
Whoa,
doing
be
good. Like the
careful.
Blackhawks
Be
are.
careful.
You got Blackhawks fans to your right.
Careful.
Well, they're not doing good right now. Like they're worst team in the league still. I mean, Predators
They are
are just
and they
too-
aren't.
right?
I mean, in the standings they are, but
Yeah,
they're
on their way up.
they're trending. I mean, they're trending up. I mean, there's some stats that on my Blackhawks this year to totally belie how in the world they are where they are in the standings. Like, do you know that the Blackhawks, if you score first in a hockey game, generally you win a lot more games than you lose, right?
Yeah, they have the worst.
The
comeback
Blackhawks have are number 1 in the league for scoring first. I mean, that's a fact. They're
number 1 in blowing leads.
yeah, absolutely. They have the 3rd ranked penalty kill in the league, the 12th ranked power play in the league. I mean, those are stats of teams that should be playoff teams. Before they fired the coach, it was their first 35 games. 34 of the 35 games, they were either leading, tied, or within 1 goal at some point of the 3rd period. That's insane.
It is insane
It
for
is
a team
insane.
that low in the standings, and
Exactly.
they also
All those things, and you just like how in the world are they where they are in the standings with all of those things? I mean, I'm glad they are, because I would sure like Martone to pair on Connor Bedard's wing for a decade plus, because a big physical Daniel Kachuk style winger with Bedard is perfect. As Tyler Bertuzzi has been with him for the last chunk of time when he's been playing a lot better and getting a good share of points, and so is Bertuzzi. So I want Martone drafted this year.
or Misa.
No, I want Martone. Misa's fine, but I don't think he's the perfect complement to Bedard. But
Yeah, I guess getting like 2 skilled players like that. I mean, Misa seems like a guy who could really pot the goals too, but he doesn't seem like a big body guy. Like when you
Right.
see him play.
and that's what I mean, that's why Tyler Bertuzzi's been such a good fit with Bedard, and why it took 35 games for them to get paired together is beyond me. But Tyler Bertuzzi just goes and gets pucks and gets them to Connor Bedard and goes and parks his butt in front of the net and creates havoc and has some hands and banks some garbage home, right? So that's a perfect compliment for him. But
He's like the Blackhawks Pod Colson. No, I'm kidding. Because Bertuzzi is way better than Pod Colson. Let's just settle that there.
The Blackhawks have that. They have from Vancouver as well. Mikheyev.
Ilya
Mikheyev.
Mikheyev, another Russian. Yeah.
He's been like really good for the Blackhawks. So yeah. So the Blackhawks, yes, they're in the bottom of the standings, and like the Oilers game. I mean, that was a perfect Blackhawk game. We're competitive. We played fine, and we lost. So perfect.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like
it kept
that.
adding to being the league leader in games given away, basically.
Yeah.
Scoring
leads
first
blown.
and giving them up.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been blown out a little bit lately, and that's kind of coincided with, again, the first half of the year, or first 35 games. If you looked at the Blackhawks goaltending stats, another thing, it'd be like, holy smokes, how are they losing all these games with both their goalies are like unbelievable. And Mrazek got hurt, and maybe Soderblom was put into a little bit more of a role than maybe he's quite ready for as a young goaltender, and that kind of caught up with him a bit. And Mrazek came back and was rusty after 5 weeks off. And so the goaltending dropped off, and that's why they've got blown out a few times.
I do feel bad for Soderblom though, because the one stat I think Jack Michaels had it. He has the 2nd worst winning percentage of a goalie in the NHL of all time, and the next closest one is from 90 years ago. I don't know the name, but that's like a 90-year kind of.
That's
I'm gonna bring-
you know, that just rings that sounds like Taylor Cornelius. Taylor Cornelius had one of the worst records ever for starting QBs in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah. Well, the
He
thing
just
with-
kept losing, and it was like no one has done this since 1942 or whatever it was.
Hey, he's setting records, right? Like it hasn't been done in 80 years or something like that.
Hey, if you're gonna be at the bottom, like you want to be known for something.
Yeah,
You don't want to be
exactly.
just a forgotten player. At least you're gonna be known.
yeah.
Well, I'll even remember him. Like I wasn't really watching CFL that much, but anytime I'd, hear in to anyone talking about it and it was like Taylor Cornelius is starting this game, I'm like, that's an automatic loss for
Yeah.
the team. Sorry.
Well, but Soderblom, he's been a victim of not getting any run support because Chicago doesn't score very many goals. But if you look at his stats this year, and he's really struggled in the last, call it 3 weeks, so his numbers have dropped significantly. I'm surprised they're this low, but he has 903 save percentage and a 299 goals against average and 6 wins, 11 losses. But at one time, he was around a 916, 918 save percentage and like 270, 260 goals against average, which is absolutely phenomenal. And then you look and, how are they at the bottom of the standings? Doesn't make sense. But
Yeah. When I look at goaltending stats, like goals against average to me is like, of course, you want under 3 or 2.5, like if you're going to be a good goaltender, but it's more so the save percentage.
I've
Because if
always
your
looked
team
at
is,
save percentage.
yeah, it's like, that's kind of the second thought. If you see a goaltender with like a mediocre save percentage, you look at the goals against and you're like, yeah, all right, whatever. You could still have a 23 save percentage and still have like 2.8 goals against. It doesn't really matter as long as you're making 93% of your stops, right?
I don't know if it's changed, but I always felt like I want in the NHL regular season, you want a goalie to be. I'm comfortable with my starter about 915 to a 920. That's a good season. That's a really good season.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of want them at. In the playoffs, you want to if your goalie's above 920, you have a really good shot at winning the Stanley Cup at that point.
yeah.
That's the save percentage you want in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you stay 915, 920, you might be able to go if the rest of your team is still playing relatively well. But if you're above the 920, you can go on that run for the Stanley Cup easily. So yeah, I've always, like, even when I talk about goalies, I never look at goals allowed average. I always am looking straight at save percentage. I don't care about the wins, losses. I don't care about, it's that save percentage I usually go to.
And it'd be nice if I agree that's a better stat to look at, but what type of quality shots are you getting against you?
Wow,
is
now do you
pretty
want to
key
go
in
into
that.
the analytics? Because I don't
see
go
that,
fully
yeah.
into that because they do
Right.
somebody could correct me what the official,
Yeah, it's
because there's a high quality save
expected
percentage or something,
goals,
expected
yeah,
goals and all that.
and
There's a
danger
way where
chance, save
I think it's high danger.
Yeah.
That's the
well,
one.
high danger.
Like you want it
chances
at
is
like
all- right.
700. If it's like 0.700, you're like really good because it's right there
Yes.
in the crease from 5 feet out or whatever, the blue paint. I think that's what it's called, the high danger chances and
So
stuff.
700 save percentage on a high danger chance.
Yeah, like 0.700, I
So
guess.
go back to part of my Stuart Skinner rant is in a high danger chance situation. If a really good is 700, that means 3 out of 10 are going to go in.
Yeah.
Huh. But Edmonton wants to, crucify people when they let in we need a stop here and there. Well, if you have umpteen high danger chances against you, 3 out of 10 are going in. Goals get scored in the NHL. Who knew?
Well, it's almost like some of the Blackhawks goals. Like I don't think that would be denoted as really a high danger chance there, but it is in the high slot. Like that's,
And that's one thing I know that people from the other side that will complain about that stat is what is classified as high danger chance? It's a little more subjective.
Sure.
Not completely, like hits are subjective,
Yeah.
depending on the rink, but one person's high danger chance might not be someone else's high danger chance. And that's where it gets a little wonky. But
Yeah.
between the save percent, that's where I will always just judge a goalie to a degree. Reed jumps in the nasty chat, says, I believe Joe Miller was the other goalie Jack mentioned for what you were saying about the record that you had there.
Yes,
So.
Joe Miller, I'm very fond of.
Never.
Oh,
player.
see, yeah,
Never heard of
Joe Miller. If that's the same Joe Miller, did he not voice some sort of NHL games back in the day? Or am I thinking of Joe? I might be thinking of Joe Morgan for baseball.
Wasn't there a Miller that did play-by-play for the Kings for a number of years too?
Oh, that's a good question. The Joe Miller rings a bell. But again, maybe I am just thinking of Joe Morgan.
We're
You
all,
might be. I
We're
don't
all
think I've
Googling
heard.
stuff right now.
Oh,
trying to
that
figure
Joe
stuff
Miller.
out.
No, that Joe Miller died in 1963. Definitely wasn't him. So I was thinking of Joe Morgan. 100% I was thinking about Joe Morgan. I do want to get to the Oilers-Kings right away here because it's a big battle of the Pacific tonight that you get to watch on Sportsnet West. Oil Stream pregame show, 6:30 right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. As Hernan and Tommy will get you set for the battle down at Rogers Place. The Oilers are back for this one home game until they go onto the road. But I do just got to quickly go to the story of like the Detroit Red Wings, who I believe are 7-1 since Tom McClellan took
Lost
over.
the first
7 in a row,
27 in a
They've
row,
won
yeah.
7 in a row. The one thing I don't understand, what changes when you have a coaching change and these type of things happen? What is so different that they are doing that they couldn't figure, the previous coach, Long, couldn't figure out, the team couldn't get going? How does one coach all of a sudden make a change and all of a sudden they win 7 straight? And now they're just outside of a playoff spot. Things, looking up right now in Detroit. I just never really fully understand how that happens. But what a nice little story. Great move. And I will say it is right that Tom McClellan, he looks right on that bench because he was the assistant of Mike Babcock for so many years.
Yeah, that's
he was in
true.
that system for such a long time that it does seem right to see Todd McClellan on the bench of the Detroit Red Wings.
Just get Woodcroft back there, right? To reunite.
Just before we get into that, Bob Miller was the play-by-play guy
Yes.
of the LA Kings, 73 to 2017.
Reed had that as well.
73 to
So did
27.
Georgia Satellite. Reed also has most goalies are still over 800 save percentage of high danger chances according to Natural Stat Trick. Skinner is just above that at 811. And yes, to everyone, tonight's game isn't prime. It is Sportsnet West. So we get to watch on Sportsnet West. It's a regional game. So the rest of Canada doesn't get to watch it. Only the Edmonton region gets to watch.
Ha! It'll be a good one too.
Yeah.
Like it is probably the biggest game for the Oilers in the regular season so far because it's probably going to be the fourth time in a row that they'll meet in the playoffs. Like that's how it's looking like right now, especially with the Golden Knights just doing Golden Knights activities, right?
So the Kings have 2 games in hand on the Edmonton Oilers. They're 2 points back. So there is that little pressure for home ice of a first round. If you are looking at that, there's that little pressure. The Oilers need this game because you can't, you still have to go win your games in hand, but the Kings have those to pass. The Oilers have a game in hand on the Golden Knights, and they sit 6 points back. They can make up that ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to be a tight battle in the Pacific. To me, the LA Kings, they're not falling off.
No.
They're a good hockey team. That's going to be a fight for those 3. I don't see the Vancouver Canucks catching up. So it'll be how do those 3 teams pan out? But Oilers Kings tonight, I just don't want in the playoffs in the first round.
I know. It's been enough of that.
It's boring.
It is.
But now there's more storylines to it because,
Fogle?
Arvidsson and then Fogle as well and Darcy Kemper being traded for PLD and Kemper is doing great. Like both of the, in that trade, they're both doing great still.
Yeah.
Like 918 save percentage, I believe, just right around for Kemper. He's been their top goaltender. And then PLD for
Zach's going to his
Washington.
notes.
I have my notes. I have my notes.
There's in part of the interruption, anyone who watches PTI, when Kornheiser goes to his notes, he always puts his glasses on. He goes, I'm going to my notes, and the glasses come on. So I want to be like, he's putting his glasses on.
I do have my glasses, but not here. Maybe I need them to read this, unless my writing's that messy. But yeah, Kemper is 20-12-2 on the season. I don't have his other stats, but the Kings, they've always been a defensive team, and they've had high scoring games every team, or at least one point in the season, you're going to score like more than 7 goals or 6 goals or something like that. But their last 4 games, there's been 3 games where it ended in a 2-1 decision. And then
So tight hockey games.
yeah, tight hockey games. Only 3 goals on average, like between both teams in their last 4 games. So they won against the Devils. I guess starting January 1st in the new year, 3-0, and then won against the Lightning 2-1, dropped against the Jets 2-1, and then the Flames 2-1 yesterday, and they had to play on the back-to-back because of the postponed game there from LA, of course, due to the wildfires. So they had like a couple days break in between their back-to-back from the 10th and the 11th, and then they played today.
Yeah, Kemper's stats, just that found save percentage is .919. Which is really good.
Yeah.
Goals allowed average is 2.16.
See, that's
It's
where
almost
that's
like
where
two.
kind of
That's almost Vezina Trophy conversation right there.
Connor Hellebuck.
And who thought
He's in the
that
heart.
PLD was actually going to find his game back again, like find an actual spot that it could work? And we'll see if it does long term. But wow, I mean, he's a big part of the reason Washington is where they are in the standings. And like, boy, I thought that guy was just Done.
Well, and that's a place that I don't think has like a lot of spotlight really in like Washington. Like there's Washington fans and stuff like that, but now they're the story of the year because they're top with the big dogs, like top 5 in the league. Of course, Ovechkin still every single goal that they count. Oh, well, he's 27 away. He's 26 away. Can we wait until he's like 10 away to keep counting? And I know it's a huge monumental feat to try and even inch close to that Gretzky goal record.
Number 1 goal scorer in history of the NHL. Like it's going to happen. Why wait? Why are you poo-pooing it and saying
well,
that we should
like, we're still
it?
far away.
60.
Like it still might not even happen this season type thing.
If he didn't get injured, it probably would have. It probably won't, but this year. But man, like that is such a big deal. It is a big deal.
It is a huge deal, and like I'm not shading that whatsoever. I want him to break it, even though, you know, of course, here in Edmonton, having Wayne Gretzky hold that title for so many years, it's weird to kind of say that you want another player to get it who's not on the team that you're, you know, living in from Edmonton here. But he's got to do it, man. He's fantastic, and just there's been nobody like him who can just pot goals like he can, and he kind of like it's so amazing to watch Ovechkin too. Well, how he just sits there and nobody can really do anything about it. The personalities there and stuff like that, like.
Well, for most of his career, like if you broke the percent of his goals, like they're the same goal in a large part, and it's like how do you like? We all knew it was coming. Like the power play for the Caps, it's like okay, it's going to Ovi over there. He's gonna shoot and he's gonna score, and he still can't stop it.
Yeah, there's nobody with the better shot.
We knew how he was gonna score, and he'd still score. That's the impressive feat of that is that when you could still do something when everyone knows it's gonna happen. It's the same in basketball, like Jordan or Kobe or something. You knew they were getting the ball at the end of the game. Everyone knew it.
Yeah,
they'd still get the ball and still make the shot. Like you just can't defend those type of things, and that's what makes greatness.
Now, would you say would he be the best Russian player of all time, or would Kucherov be there because of the points?
Oh, it won't
Ovechkin,
be Kucherov.
Not even.
I'm trying to think of who in the past it would be.
If he's going to be the number 1 goal scorer in the history of the NHL, he's the best. Like, what is Kucherov? Like, not even close to Ovechkin.
Well, the Stanley Cups are there. All the points are there. He's got over 100 points, I think, in the last like 4 or 5 seasons consecutively. If he keeps that pace going for few years,
a decade maybe, another decade, and then
I've got an article from the Hockey Writers just to help with the little bit of reference that at the start of this season went top Russians in their mind. Alex Ovechkin 1, Sergei Fedorov 2.
Fedorov 2?
Fedorov was an amazing player.
Absolutely,
he was unbelievable. Yeah. Alex McGillney 3, Pavel Bure 4, Pavel Datsyuk 5, Sergei Zubov 6, Evgeny Malkin 7, Igor Larionov 8, Kucherov 9, Vasilevsky 10.
I gotta say that's disrespect on Kucherov.
No,
for sure.
that's just you're too young. Yeah, I will say that right now. Sergei Fedorov,
he'll climb the list, but he needs to do what he's doing for another 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, and then
he won't even be playing that long.
If anything, like Datsuk's the one that I feel like at 5, like I could almost bump him up because he was just that quiet player that was just
he was so
brilliant.
Yeah.
But Pavel Bure was just ridiculous.
Holy.
Alex McGillney, like no, that's just one of those. You're just too young. Yeah. I think. And with those players and
he's
how
too
good,
young, and Kucherov doesn't have the longevity of a lot of those guys.
Even Igor Larionov, but yeah, Kucherov, like he's and he's worthy of top 10. Those other guys were very special though. Like Pavel Datsyuk has, how many rings would he have?
3.
Does he have 3?
Technically, he would because he won what it was. They won twice in the late 90s and then early.
But I know Datsuk wouldn't have been. I don't know. He wouldn't have been part of those.
No, he
teams.
would have been that early. I know.
Does he only have the 1 ring?
Might have 1 or 2 then.
You know, another Russian player that he never played in the NHL.
2-time Stanley Cup champion. He was there. He was there at the end of 2002, and then he was there in 2008.
That's right.
Where would Vladislav Tretiak rank in the history of best Russian hockey players ever?
I think if you're going now, Russian hockey players.
Yeah. That's the only name I know.
Not NHLers.
Yeah,
he'd have to be up there.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Go back to where you started when we got into this hockey about the coach bump and what's going on in Detroit, because you look back, you know, a year ago with the Edmonton Oilers get off to that horrendous start, fire a coach, bring in their current coach, and they just turn around and go on fire. I mean, so like how is it happening in Detroit? How did it happen? I mean, it happens, but what's the explanation? What do you think the explanation is for that?
I honestly don't know. I don't get, like, I saw somebody tweet like, "Oh, it's how a system could implementing a system could change things," and I just go, "Well, why didn't the other coach do it?" Like, you don't get to becoming a head coach in any pro sport by being an idiot.
Yeah.
So how does one coach not be able to execute this system or figure out this, and Todd McClellan could come in and knows that this is what he needs to put in, the players just listen. I honestly, I would like to have, I wish there were cameras rolling behind the Detroit Red Wings all season so that we could see something. Because I honestly, like, I've never been in one of those locker rooms. So I don't know what it's like. I honestly don't have an answer for it.
Yeah.
Do you have one? Do you have a theory?
Well, I think it's different in every scenario because you don't always get a coaching bump. It's not 100% that you get one. Like Todd McClellan, like if I look at my Blackhawks situation, like Todd McClellan, people are saying he would be a perfect coach for the Blackhawks right now, which kind of in a similar situation. Detroit's maybe a little further along in rebuilding the Blackhawks, but he's supposedly outstanding with young players and gets younger players to buy in. And one of the things I read is early, maybe his first or second practice, he just blew the practice down and said, like, you guys have fun. Just have fun. We're playing hockey. Like, enjoy yourself. And he just got them to relax. They were taking themselves too seriously and things like that, and got them to relax and have fun. And I think that maybe is part of it there. And also, depending on how long the coach was there, and that coach, he was on the hot seat for a long time, his voice in Detroit probably just got tuned out. Enough. I mean, we're not seeing success, and he just keeps saying the same things and trying to push the same buttons. And there's a certain point where even a good coach just can't get any more out of that group of players. And that was probably the case there. Like in the Oilers scenario, though, I mean, I like from day one when they made that coaching change, I thought, man, like Jay Woodcroft kind of got hosed because Connor McDavid was playing awful. Leon was playing awful. The defense was a tire fire. Stu wasn't playing great. And nobody was playing good. You knew they were all going to turn it around and play better. And I kind of feel, in hindsight, I mean, you never know the answer to this, but I kind of feel like they probably would have ended up with similar success last year if they never made the coaching change.
So
but you'll never know that.
Saying with the Oilers, we're much closer, so you grab on to things a little differently here. I think they would have turned their season around with Jay Woodcroft, but they wouldn't have done what they did last season with Jay Woodcroft. Yeah. And that's apparently with Jay, they were thinking too much. Yeah. He was constantly looking at every single play, grabbing the iPads, making them think. And that's translated on the ice where they're thinking now way too much, not going with their natural instincts of a hockey player of doing things. They're trying to not make that mistake because Jay's pounding in, well, we got to do this, and we got to do this, and we got to do this. And what Chris came in and Knobloch was able to do was just go, Kate, we're going to simplify this. And it allowed them to relax a little more, think less, and get back to just almost the basics. And it allowed them to then start playing better because they weren't gripping their stick too much, and that cliche. And so I think that was the issue with Jay, was he was a little too intense. And the players, and I don't think they tuned him out. I don't think we ever heard that story that they tuned out Jay. No. But I think he wasn't connecting with the players, and he wasn't adjusting from that and giving them that ability to absorb things a little better, or just, it was just way too much happening too quick. Film, watch this iPad, watch this, watch that. And they didn't have that time to be like, okay, well, I'm just a hockey player. I'm one of the best in the world at what I do. Allow some of the natural instinct to play as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, the other piece is they implemented a box plus one D-zone system, which every single one of those players had, I guarantee you, had played many years of box plus one in their pasts, because it's not a crazy complicated system. It's not an uncommon system, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working with that group of players, and he never adjusted out of it. And the players were all confused on where they were supposed to go and what they were supposed to do, which created the tire fire in the D zone. And so a new coaching staff came in. They got rid of the box plus one and went to, I wouldn't say box plus one isn't traditional, but just a more basic D zone system. And I mean, it obviously worked because the players weren't getting the box plus one, which I still don't understand how they couldn't, but they're NHL players. They should be able to play a box plus one.
I also think
difficult.
Chris is just his demeanor. Like, it's just so calming that I think that for this group, that's who they need.
Yeah.
Jay was a little like, I go back to, and I don't have a problem with coaches playing games with the media and stuff and doing things, but Jay seemed to always just trying to be playing games. You know, in the playoffs, he's doing these other gamesmanships. The start of last year, I think it was last regular season or something. He was messing with the nets of like who the goalie was, like starter nets and stuff like that. And it's like, what's the point of all this? And I think sometimes players look at them like, why are we playing these games? Let's just focus on playing some hockey and winning these games. And Chris, like, there are no games with Chris.
No.
Like, for the most part. Like, he goes out there and he's just very... I'll say that. Does Chris maybe mislead at times? Probably. I'm not going to be naive enough. But I think for the most part, Chris it's just open. When you ask him a question, he's just open. He's not trying to find an angle. He's not trying to run a narrative. You ask him a question, he's going to try to answer that question.
Yeah.
And he's just very calm and maybe almost sometimes a little too calm. Like when things were going bad this year, like you'd think like maybe throw something or get upset, but he doesn't seem like a guy that would do that still fully. But I believe for this team, he looks like the right guy because I think like when things go bad, he knows how to calm things down. And I think for this group, they look at him and they trust him. Yeah. And he's done excellent. I've been completely wrong on the Chris Knobloch. I thought the moment I heard Chris Knobloch, I'm like, this isn't going to go well. This isn't the guy.
Especially because in the organization he was with before, they didn't want to elevate him to the NHL job.
And there was one like that's not what they needed last year, and I was completely wrong with that. That he has shown to be like an exceptional coach, and. You know, I want good things for Chris because he just seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen him get mad on the bench at all. And that's kind of like the thing. He's not that he's not taking it serious. He seems like a very serious, like straightforward kind of guy. But he's taking that intensity back, like you said with Jay Woodcroft, where he was just analyzing way too much. And maybe to second that, what you're saying about like the Detroit kind of coaching there, it was it could just be to have fun in a sense, like Bruce Boudreau, I think it was on the morning show, who said something very similar to that, and it was kind of just like you're taking the enjoyment out of that kind of playing that game. So maybe the Oilers with that turn, like it was less so of just them playing that game and more so trying to be a hockey analyst of their own plays each game, right?
Yeah. Well, and another factor too that I don't know off the top of my head how many coaching hires have happened since Jay Woodcroft was let go from the Oilers, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Chris Knobloch would be close to the middle of tenures in the National Hockey League already.
And so Jay Woodcroft has not been hired for any of those openings. So
it's strange, yeah.
So what do they know that we don't? Which they know a lot more than we do, obviously, right? But for him not to have gotten another opportunity by now, because he was successful with the Oilers, was he not? Like
when he left the Edmonton Oilers, I think it depends on which way you look at it. But either he was the winningest coach in Oiler history or the second winningest coach in Oiler history. So like I think there was a thing with Glenn Sather, I believe, because he had 2 stints on the bench, I believe it was. I think if there's a way, if you combine them or something, it messes with it or something. But he was one of the winningest coaches.
So why is nobody else taken him and wanted him to be their guy?
He's saving himself for Team Canada. I'm kidding.
There's a couple of reasons that I could like. One is the teams don't want him. That's obviously one. They don't like things that they've heard. 2, maybe he is being selective on possible jobs he's interested in. Maybe he's sitting there going, look at what I did.
Does he have a big enough resume to be able to do that though?
Well, but no, but maybe he is acting that way going, you know, I'm going to be selective of where I go. I don't want to go to a bottom feeder. I want to be at a good team. But, you know, when the Bruins, you know, they make their change, but like, I'm going to go take that job or whatever.
There was no interviewing in the Bruins job. Or sorry, that was St. Louis. St. Louis, there was no interview.
Right, but like he's looking at, I want a team that is expecting more from the playoffs, not getting it done. I'm going to go. He wants to be Chris Knobloch. Take over that job type thing, I would assume. Or even the job when he took it over with the Oilers. There's that option. I don't know if there's a third option that I would have there.
Maybe he's just doing commercials now. Maybe he's not even into hockey. He did have that one commercial. Have you guys seen that? Where it's like, I think it was Jay Woodcroft there, where he was just like, I don't know what it was for. It's similar to one of the, it was like some medicine or something that he was like the cream or something. He had some lotion and he's like, it helps with pain or something like that. And he had a commercial for it online. I saw it like scrolling through TikTok and I'm like, what is Jay doing? He's getting the money for it, but
getting paid.
Maybe he's looking for something different.
Chris is the 16th most tenured coach in the National Hockey League, dead middle.
That's crazy.
There are 16 other coaches that have less
hired.
tenure
Okay.
than Chris
So
Knobloch in
16
the National Hockey
teams
League.
did not hire.
November
Jay
12th,
Woodcroft.
2023. So in 1 year, and today is the 13th. So basically 1 year and 2 months, there have been 16 other changes in the National Hockey League with coaches that has allowed Chris Knobloch to be middle tenure in the NHL. He's no rookie head coach.
So your two options you just said is, one, there's something about him that no team wants to touch him for some reason, whatever that is. Or number two, he's being crazy picky. You think anything else, Zach? What else could there be?
I mean, that's about it. Like, you think he would want to get back into the job now that he
Sure.
kind of had the first kick at the can, and his record speaks for it. And I thought he'd get a job like right away, almost like on one of those teams. Like, I don't know.
I think a lot of
Blue
people looked at
Jackets team or
Toronto.
something. Yeah.
When he got
Oh,
fired, a lot of people are going, when Toronto makes a change, just analytics and things like that. That makes sense. And they didn't go that way,
They're
obviously.
picking Berube, of course, over a Jay Woodcroft, right?
Yeah, like
It could be some people look at it and go, you want to know something? He had a great record in Edmonton. Awesome. But he had Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Like,
and-
that's what
and
he had
wasn't
there.
Here, how many games did he coach?
He
It's just over
coached-
2 years, right?
It would, I don't think he would have hit 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he would have hit 164 games.
So his sample size isn't large, but the thing is too, the longer this goes without him,
Oh, I was wrong.
I thought just over, right?
No, I'm 133 games.
133 games.
So
Okay.
yeah, no, I was right. He didn't. He coached 38 games when he took over for Dave Tippett. Coached a full season of 18 games, and then only coached 13 games before he got let go.
So he's not crazy experienced, is a factor for sure. But the longer he stays out, and the more jobs go by that he doesn't get, I mean, he's gonna. It might be harder. It's getting harder and harder for him to get a job now, I think. Like if
Why? Who's going to make a change? I will say that right now. You got
It's late
16
now.
teams that have just made changes. With that said, the Blackhawks and the Bruins both are in interim coaches.
Yeah.
So that they will need to make hires.
I have never heard Jay Wood, not that the Blackhawks are really into looking right now, but I mean, there's all kinds of lists out there people speculating who they're gonna look at hiring, and Jay Woodcroft is not a name I've ever heard.
So I'm going to go bottom top. So least tenured to the most tenured.
Yeah.
So obviously Red Wings aren't doing anything. Blues aren't doing anything anytime soon. Blue Jackets, Sharks, Kraken, definitely not the Jeffs, not the Leafs, not the Devils, not the Sens. Sabres maybe.
That's what I was thinking of.
Sabres
That's
are a
what I'm
team
going
that
on.
might make a change. I will have to throw them on there. Not Utah, I don't believe. Won't be the Kings, won't be the Islanders, won't be the Wild, not the Oilers.
Islanders, I could see Islanders doing something.
With Patty Waugh?
Mm,
Where are they right now?
the Islanders
They're
are,
low.
Islanders, I mean, because Lamoriello is.
Might not wait.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll throw the Islanders on there just for the sake. Rangers
that could happen. 100%.
won't be
that
the
could
Flames. I don't think it will be the Ducks because they're still in a rebuild thing. Preds,
That's another one.
we'll have to throw the Preds in there. Not the Caps, not the Canucks, not the Panthers, not the Stars. I don't believe. Flyers with John Tortorella.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
less so the coaching. Like, they have no goaltending on that.
I know,
team.
but he wears out his welcome at a certain point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does.
So I've got
his
Matthew
shelf life
Mitchkoff.
is not.
The Golden Knights, no. The Canadiens, no. The Hurricanes, no. The Avs, no. The Pens, maybe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Just because
maybe,
if they don't make the playoffs, it might be the time for.
Mike Sullivan's
a
name is very much linked to the Blackhawks.
Is it?
Mhm.
And then you got the Lightning Coop. No. So
Yeah.
I've got 6 potential openings between now and
Yeah.
the next season, I would say. At most.
At
Mhm.
most.
I'd be surprised if there's anything
Yeah,
else
there'd
on
probably
there.
be but there might be a couple surprises too, right?
Sure.
I mean,
There
teams
was a-
underachieve in the playoffs and things like that. And you talk about the rebuild mode. Well, the Hawks just fired Luke Richardson in the middle of the rebuild mode, but his systems were.
But he'd been there for a
stagnating
little
the-
bit. How many years has he been there?
Couple. I mean, he was hired to lose. I mean, everyone knows that. He's a good coach, though. I don't know that he'll get back a head coaching job anytime soon, if ever. But he'll certainly be on an NHL bench as a D coach next year. I would think, because he's also a Class A individual, great person. So he'll land on his feet in a big hurry, I think.
Where does Montgomery, like, what's going on there? because
he's in
let
St.
go.
Louis.
Oh yeah, he went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
geez.
they made the
immediately.
change.
Yeah, I missed that.
Like
yeah.
that,
Boom.
Drew Bannister.
It was that quick. I forgot about it.
Well,
because
because
you're the guy.
He has lots of connectivity to St. Louis, and St. Louis actually waited to hire their coach till they figured out after the Bruins were in the playoffs last year. There was talk that maybe they were going to fire him then if they didn't do as well as they wanted to, and they didn't. So that's when St. Louis made a move on the coach. And then, but the second he became available, they fired their coach at 20 games into his career or whatever as their coach. And
Sorry, buddy. Yeah.
we signed you to a 3-year contract and you're 30 games in, you're out, and they brought Montgomery in. So
Like,
Montgomery's
not a
going to
bad
be
move.
there forever. Yeah.
I don't see a playoff team right now that if they have early exit, there'd be a coaching change. Some years they're like the Leafs over the last few years was one we'd look at and go,
but not after he's their first
No.
year with him.
no, not with Burberry. I don't see the Oilers doing that. Like if you lose to the Kings in the first round, I don't see them making a change with Chris Knobloch. The only team I will say, just because it's who they are, it'd be the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights right now would face the Canucks, I believe. But if they had a first round exit, I could see Kelly McCrimmon. He's very quick to make moves. We've seen that already there. That's the only way I look at the Golden Knights and go, if they're a team that goes in the first round and gets knocked out in the first round, I can see a coaching change. 100% I can see a coaching just because of who their GM is.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would go for Jay Woodcroft. So we named all those teams, but who would want Jay out of all that?
Yeah. So you look at Dave
Maybe the
Haxtell
Rangers?
out there. I mean, that's a name that would probably on most boards be ahead of Woodcroft.
Jay Woodcroft doesn't fit a Barry Trotz to me.
No.
He doesn't fit a Lou Lamoriello to me. So those two you could knock off.
Gerard Gallant is out there.
I think he's done.
You think
I think he's
done?
almost announced that he's kind of.
He doesn't want to coach anymore.
Yeah, I think I think in his last stint.
No.
After
The
that,
big-
because that was the name I threw for the Oilers last year. That was the
Yeah.
guy I want, and I think I heard some people say like he came out and he's retired
Yeah.
in his mind, or is that Alain Vigneault? I always liked Alain.
The
Vigneault.
biggest name linked to the
I like that
Blackhawks
name.
right now is David Carl. You're looking at me. Oh, you don't know who he is?
Never
Never
ringing a bell.
University of Denver's coach in college
yeah, I
who
don't follow
just
that.
coached Team USA to back-to-back gold medals in the World Juniors.
All I know about in college right now is Carson Beck is going to the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, okay.
the
So he's the hot commodity coach right now. Now the Blackhawks may want to choose somebody with some experience at where they are in the rebuild over David Carl, but he's the one that's getting the most noise in Chicago right now. If
Aidan
he
O'Neill
wants to
saying
come.
Sabres make the most sense for him, and I'm assuming that's Jay Woodcroft. And
Yeah.
If they,
but
didn't-
I don't know what the Sabres are doing in general themselves.
No.
So,
they
but
gotta do
that would
it.
make if he doesn't get a coaching job by the start of next season,
I don't know if he will.
he'll have to jump back to being an assistant to get his way back into being a head coaching job.
in the A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
And
he did.
just wait
He
for his
was
time again.
like, I thought, and that's where like the rebuild thing. If like you said, maybe he wants to go to a good team and not a bottom team. Well, that was the big thing on him in Baco was how good he was doing at developing younger players,
Mhm.
wasn't he? Isn't that is that
The great
that's what
system
I
down
remember.
there. He was there was a great connection between him and Tippett by all accounts with
Yeah.
the development for both sides.
So,
But if
a younger team might be a good spot for him.
But if you're a guy that would just coach Connor and Leon, and you got, to the second round, no, you got to the conference finals. Well, they went to the conference finals, and then you got to the second round, lost to the Golden Knights. So you lost in the conference finals to the Avs. The next year,
yeah,
if you beat the Golden Knights, you might have a Stanley Cup ring to your name.
yeah, probably would have. Yeah,
You probably are sitting there going, "Well, I had the taste of champagne. I want to stick with champagne."
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it could be like if teams around the league see something that we don't, maybe it's just clearer than that. Maybe it is just, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, right?
I'll let you finish, but maybe not also see that we don't or hear. Maybe the Oilers because
Right.
everyone knows
Right.
everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe there's been discussion like, hey, what went on? What happened in Edmonton? Those type of things. Sorry.
Yeah, what was the reason for that let go? It could have been deeper than we thought, or even just clear. Like, oh, you look at the record. Maybe he's sitting there and Woodcroft's thinking, well, yeah, I have had that taste of champagne. I've made it that far. I deserve something better than what might be out there or what I'm getting offered. So he's just going to sit and wait for the offer to come to him. but then he hasn't got it. So maybe those other teams are saying, well, your record might look good on paper, but you had those players. Like, come on, they were definitely going to bounce back, and like even without the coaching change.
Well, that might also hurt him too. Is just how the Oilers did last year was that.
Yeah.
Well, this other coach came in and look what he's done.
Yeah.
If they did terribly, maybe.
Well, yeah, or if they didn't even go get as good as they did, which it was 16. I was 16 or 17 straight wins at one point. I forgot what it was.
16 in a row.
16.
Yeah.
Just the entire run. Like maybe that also got teams went, well, yeah, it was the system or it was the players. Like,
well, it's not
you messed up with Connor and Leon almost. Maybe that goes against them. You got fired when you had Connor and Leon.
Yeah. But with that many coaches being hired over him, like there is, I have no idea if there is something out there, but you look at a coach like Ted Nolan, who had a lot of success, and somehow he just got blackballed by the league. And not that that's the position Jay Woodcroft is in, but when that many coaches are getting hired, like what? Like it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
It's wild that hockey's gone to this way that like there is no time given to some coaches.
Yeah.
That it's almost the full soccer thing.
Yeah.
Where we're getting to, but there are teams in soccer that they'll make 2 coaching changes in the same season. They'll have the coach they start with, they fire him, they don't like the results, they'll fire the next person, and they hire a third person, and that team over the course of a season will have 3 different managers or something like that. Like that's where hockey is slowly getting towards, because back, at least 15 years ago, there would never have been that many coaching change in the span of a year and 2 months.
Yeah, that's really insane. But I guess ultimately, though, I think the reason probably is his scope of work is very small, and he had Connor and Leon, so Zach could have coached that team to similar success.
If I had to kick at the can, maybe I'd want to.
Yeah,
but
we could all have an NHL coaching victory, coaching the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
We'd have at least one on our resume
Exactly.
because we'd be able to coach that team to at least a win.
Hey, Maddie, on Friday, you're coaching the Oilers.
That's
Bring the cigars.
Ultimately, that's my guess.
I don't need to motivate them at all.
But one other thing that I did read about him is that he's not out marketing himself the way other guys do.
Yeah, Craig Berube was all over Toronto radio.
Saying he wanted a job and stuff.
Oh no, he was just available. He was on time. Like they don't generally come out and say I want that job, but they're known in the market.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how that plays into an organization hiring you. I'm very fascinated by that. Like just because you hear them, the fans are talking about them more, you feel like that's the right move. Like I'm fascinated by why that. But you're like, well, Rex Ryan is yesterday on Sunday Countdown. He was pushing for the Jets job because he interviewed for the New York Jets job.
I heard that.
And then they announced Mike Vrabel was going to the Patriots. Shocking. Yeah. And I guess he's like, I'd love to beat that guy twice a year. Like he's very much on air being like, give me the Jets job again. So some go and do that outright.
That's a Jets move though.
Going back to Rex Ryan?
I could actually see, because they're such a tire fire organization.
I love Rex Ryan.
I could actually see them making that decision. But it's not the right decision.
He was such a DC. He was such a great DC, especially with my Ravens. No, it isn't. But there is no right decision for the New York Jets. The right decision is Woody Johnson sells the team.
Yeah.
And it's about time a new owner takes over.
And don't choose that quarterback to come in and
full clean. They need a full clean. Start top to bottom. That's where it goes. Yeah. Like and it's not Woody Johnson that's the problem. It's his kids. Apparently his kids are big. Like they're trying to get involved with things. And it's like, no, stay away. But that's the issue that's really now starting with the Jets.
Yeah, it'd be an enigma. The Aaron Rodgers documentary.
Round of clicks for that. No, I got that one.
Yeah.
So round of clicks for you. I'm gonna give. I was gonna put my coffee down, but I'll just give.
Not the double clicks.
You get the single clicks for that one, Zach. You get
like the
single
clicks in the morning show.
I'm stunned. Mike Vrabel's with the Patriots. Who could have seen that coming once they fired Jared Mayo?
Huh. Can you explain to me what's going on with the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy?
Jerry Jones doesn't make coaching changes.
Well,
I saw a stat actually that had NFL coaching changes over like the last 30 years or something like that. And the Cowboys are closer to the bottom than they are to even middle.
But after they have not come up to an agreement. Supposedly they're not even deep in any contract negotiations. And Mike McCarthy is a free agent after tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day. And the Cowboys denied the Bears' request to interview him. But the Bears could interview him in 2 days. And so I don't like, I'm a Cowboys fan, but the Jones family is just a disaster. They don't do anything right. Absolutely nothing.
I've never heard a single thing that was in positive light about the Dallas owner and Jones.
He
there.
built a great stadium.
Found it.
Looks great.
No, don't
AT&T
take me to
Stadium?
I'm here.
that?
AT&T?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable stadium.
Yeah, that's where the Jake Paul fight was. I know. I'm kidding.
Oh boy.
I don't want to. Why can't it, like I'm trying? I need to open up something on Twitter, but it's taking me to my
Yeah.
Chrome. It's not taking me to the app. I want to go to the app. Open this up in the app so I can look at it.
If,
Might not be
if
working.
you can't figure it out, nobody can.
No, I
Mr.
then have to sign
Technology.
in on this one. I don't want to sign in this
You know,
one.
I might be giving you trouble because of all the notifications of the Zoom interviews for coaches in the NFL. I don't think I've seen so many like this online interview for the Patriots job, and I'm like, I'd scroll through, and in 20 tweets, half of them would be for coaching interviews to be the head coach of the Jets or something like that.
I
don't know
respect
who
that
else.
out of football though, because they keep their fans knowing what's going on.
Yeah, it's better than just like, oh, we're getting this guy now. Oh, great. It'd be nice to know, like, there's so much coverage in the NFL. Like, you would know if somebody stubbed their toe in the morning
Yeah.
before the game.
And then teams that like tweet out, "Oh, we just completed our interview with this guy." Like, who cares?
Their
What?
fans do.
Yeah.
I honestly,
think so?
I have no.
With fans,
When my
yeah.
teams make changes, I want to know who they're interviewing. I want to know who they're talking to. And I love the fact that it's like I don't have to wait for an insider to be like they're interviewing something. The fact that the team would tell me like we interviewed this person. Like for the Edmonton Elks, I would have loved to have heard in the moment too that the Elks just interviewed Mark Killen for the head coaching job. We interviewed Rick Campbell for the head coaching job. We just interviewed X for the coaching job. So you know where their head's kind of going. I love the more information.
Well,
I'm all into that.
a lot of people are trashing the Bears because they're interviewing like 800 people for the job. But you want to know what? Like when you have that opportunity to bring in brilliant football minds and grill them about what you would do if you were the head coach of our football team to make us better, why the hell wouldn't you do it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Pick everyone's brain to tell us what you would do to make our team better, and you get free information from everybody who's trying to get that job, and you take all that information and go, wow, we never thought about that.
And you keep
never thought about
tabs.
that. And man, you just
But you also
tabulate
never know
all
who
this
you're going to
stuff.
find.
Fair.
Like with the Ravens, John Harbaugh was a guy that I don't think was on a lot of radars initially. He was just a special teams coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles, but he was extremely prepared and he wowed Steve.
Or are you going to say Buscemi?
Why? It's not far off of that. But their owner, he wowed him and he got the job, and rest is history with John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So since 2000, the Ravens and the Steelers have had the least amount of coaches. They've only had 2 in that span.
Yeah, Tomlin's been coach Pittsburgh for
Since 07, I believe
Yeah,
it is.
15
And Bill
years,
Cowher.
18
They've only
years.
had 3 coaches since the 60s.
wow.
Which
the
is
Steelers.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Look at
is.
the NHL coaching changes.
The
compared to
Ravens,
this.
only 2. They went from Brian Billick to John Harbaugh. And actually, I think in their history, they've only had 3 since they started in 99.
Harbaugh's going nowhere for a long time.
The New England Patriots now are onto their 3rd coach. They, for the longest time, were at that 1, but now they're going to go to their 3rd coach. Bengals, Packers, Seahawks are on their 4th coach since 2000. That's
I can't
it.
wait till you get to the Raiders.
Oh, yeah, you'll enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Eagles are on their 5th coach, and that's Jerry
That's
Jones
2000.
doesn't make
No,
like
he
he's he takes his time with as much as he's wild and crazy with coaches. He gives them time. The Chiefs, the Vikings, the Saints, the Titans are on their 6th coach. The Colts and the Giants are on 7. The Cards, Bears, Texans, Chargers, Rams, Bucks are on 8. Panthers, Jets, 49ers are on 9. Falcons,
Oh.
Bills, Broncos, Jags were on their 10th
Since 2000?
since 2000. Dolphins, Commanders are on 11. Browns, Lions are at 12.
Oh, that's 2 years.
The
2 years.
Raiders are at 15.
15.
So it went 1 to
15.
13 and then it jumped.
According to this one thing that I found from this weekend.
So
15.
barely over, basically a new coach almost every year.
They're almost one every. Their
1.2
coaches are
years.
averaging almost 2 years.
Oh,
They aren't at 2 years yet.
unbelievable. That's
Their
crazy.
GM got 1 season.
Yeah. And look what he did in the draft last year.
He had a great draft.
He had a great draft.
GMs generally are one like you get more time because you got to put in what did he do wrong? That one, I was like 1 year as a
Yeah.
GM. I could get the coach. I could get you could sit there and look at a coach and be like, we got it wrong. For the GM, when he has the type of draft that he had too,
Oh my God, yes.
they don't have a quarterback.
So somebody else is going to snap that GM up in a big hurry, I would think.
Yeah, 15.
That's just ridiculous.
That is.
But you go to Jerry Jones and what he's done with coaches, though. But it's just because he procrastinates on everything. Because he probably should have had other coaches, more coaches than he's had, because he doesn't fire him when he should fire him.
Jason Garrett was probably at least one season too long.
Yeah, and
I will say that one for sure.
I mean, everyone probably thought that this coach was going to go
McCarthy.
at the end of last season as well. But he does the same thing with player contracts. Like C.D. Lamb, the most recent example, he could have signed him over a year before, and he chose to wait, saying things like, oh, we need to see a bigger sample size. Oh, we need to see how this contract goes and that contract goes. Well, we all know that every contract at every position in the NFL goes up and up and up and up and up. So waiting that year probably gave CD a boatload more money.
He wasn't complaining.
And no, he wasn't going to complain. But it probably cost the Cowboys like whatever, $5 to $8 million a year more. $5 to $8 million a year that could have gone to other pieces to improve your depth. And they're in salary cap problems because of things like that. And he's doing the exact same thing right now with Micah Parsons. Just sign the guy.
You guys could have also probably had Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry announced that he...
Yeah.
We talk about lobbying. Derrick Henry announced he wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy.
The Ravens don't have Derrick Henry if Jerry Jones signs Derrick Henry.
Right.
And Jerry Jones didn't want to sign Derrick Henry. And thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's been a great season with Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Mhm.
He if Jerry Jones to me truly cared about the Cowboys, he would give up his GM job.
Yes.
And I was like, he is a Super Bowl winning GM. He did it. They won Super Bowl. Like we talk about the Leafs. Like there's a lot of comparisons Leafs and Cowboys for people, but the Cowboys won in the 90s. Like
A few times.
America's team.
But it's actually like maybe because of my age, I was born in the 90s. I want to say it's not that. It's pretty recent still. They did go in the 90s. He was the GM. Credit to Jerry Jones. You were running back with Arkansas, but now you can't be the GM anymore. If you were the GM of any of the 31 other teams and weren't the owner, you would have been fired a long time ago.
And I don't think his kid is any better.
And you don't touch your kid.
Yeah.
You go find a true GM and you let them take the reins. Do you want to see another Super Bowl Jerry Jones before we
Which he
pass?
does, yeah.
Like,
and a really good one just got fired from the Raiders. Go get him.
there are ways to go about doing this, and maybe it's or hire a quality young assistant GM and have him try to take over for 2 years or whatever it is.
But his son's going to take over.
All the best to you.
Yeah, I know.
All the best.
I know.
By the way, this is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Murray, Zach, Matt with you here. GCLD's Oil Stream pregame show coming up 6:30 later tonight as the Oilers will get set to take on the Kings down at Rogers Place. We also have Lock Shop coming up between 11 and 12. We got the Oil Stream, we got EST Afternoons, and we got the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, all to come here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Portions of this hour brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehiveproductmarketing.com. Do want to say, I believe, the EST Fun Spiel presented by Lloyd Sad Insurance Brokers. I think I'm sold out. I got to go through some emails. I got some stuff over the weekend. I think all the teams are booked up right now. So I would be on a wait list if you want to get in on a wait list, but I got to go through some things. There are emails I haven't responded to, so I don't think I have to turn anyone down. They might, a couple, but I think the ESD Funds Bill for February 15th, presented by Lloyd Sad Insurance Brokers, is gone. Not gone, but like it's booked up. We're going to have full 16 teams. So it'll be a fun time.
Yeah, it's in the name.
It is in the name. Well done. Sub-Zero Mechanical jumping on as our dinner sponsor, so we thank them for that as well. So it'll be a fun little late afternoon and evening for us on Feb 15. Also Canada playing USA, Four Nations.
Ooh,
Scotties is going on at the time, so there's a lot happening all at once.
Is there any ringers signed up?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so?
I don't believe there's any like real true like There's no like curling name that I went, ooh.
LTE.
You know, type
LTE
thing.
is going to be the
LTE
star.
Well, this is LTE is this is his training camp because there's a media bond spiel that happens every March that he likes to go play in and stuff. And so him and his wife and Jess Jackson from the Bear, and I don't know who else he's got on for the team and stuff. They'll go into the media fund one. So this is now for once they come together as a team.
All right.
And play. So the fun spiel will be a fun time. You're more than welcome at times to come out and watch us and watch and hang out and come drink. There's nothing like drinking at a curling rink.
Watch the Scotties or watch the EST Fun Spiel. You know,
there's TVs in the
so you can watch
lobby
both at the same time.
in the bar. Well, then it's also Canada, USA, Four Nations.
And where is this again?
Shamrock,
The Shamrock, and
which is
whereabouts
just off White,
just off White.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
just
probably
east
driven by
of the Hudson's.
Okay.
You wouldn't have
You
driven
probably
by it. It's
drank close.
you would
by
have been close to it.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, a few blocks away.
A few
Yeah.
blocks away, you've been drinking.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think. So it's called the Rock, right, or is it a pebble?
It's
So
a
you-
rock.
It's called the Rock.
You pebble the ice.
So you pebble the ice with the broom.
No, when they
Oh
set
my
the
goodness.
guy that have you ever seen them like spray the ice?
Oh, I thought they only
No,
kind of
you
threw it
sweep
and
the
then
ice. No,
then
but
broomed in
when
front of
they
swept.
they set up the ice, they pebble it.
It's
This
starting
guy
to
comes
sound like similar to. I didn't realize what the green jacket was for the Masters when you had that.
Hey,
And
man,
now you're learning so much about different sports.
I know. I even brought a putter in here that I'm never going to use.
Well, that's
got
why
laying
it's in
around
here
the
and not in your
office.
golf bag. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, like even golfing, I was like, what is that called? Is that a wedge? Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, it was like,
I got
certain-
breaking news I got to get to. Sorry.
okay, yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, we'll.
Do.
Do.
Tom Pelissaro, NFL Network. Sources: Mike McCarthy is out as Cowboys coach. The sides couldn't agree on a length of contract, and McCarthy would pursue other opportunities.
Wow.
He leaves Dallas with a winning record and 3 playoff appearances. So Jerry Jones was listening to Murray. He's waiting. He's listening.
Oh, I don't know how I
Heard
feel
from
about
Murray?
that, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, I wanted him gone. I want a fresh voice. But, you know, when they were absolutely destroyed by injuries this year, and they were competitive in almost every game down the stretch, playing third string guys were playing for him. And that says a lot about a coach. But I kind of agree. He probably wanted a 5-year deal. Jerry was probably saying 2. And also, Jerry was probably saying, you know what, you're getting old and the game's passing you by a little bit. So I want you to bring in an offensive coordinator young and upcoming offensive coordinator that's going to be creative on the offensive side of the ball that's not you. And he probably said he didn't like that either. That's probably my guess there. But I'm kind of excited about it. I saw a survey of NFL executives with all the openings that were there and to rank them as what's the most appealing job down to what's the least appealing job. And they had the Cowboys job in there because McCarthy wasn't officially signed. And by far and away, they said that the Cowboys job was the most appealing head coaching opportunity, if it really is an opportunity. But then I keep hearing like I want Ben Johnson to be the coach of the Cowboys. And
OC of the Lions.
And it's out there that he would not be interested in the Cowboys job. I'm like, well, if it's the most appealing job and he's the most appealing head coach, why wouldn't he want the job? But supposedly it's because of that he doesn't want to work with Jerry Jones.
And that would be the tough part about it. Like the thing is, if you are a guy that wins with the Dallas Cowboys, you become a god. Like you were a big time head coach. You won with America's team.
Yes.
Basically. Like that is such a huge deal. I'm not a big Mike McCarthy is a solid NFL coach.
I agree. He's not great.
He is not exceptional. He's always had time management issues. It's always been an issue of his. I actually look at it as he only won 1 Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. That is like Aaron Rodgers. We can say what we want about him right now. He may have been one of the most talented NFL quarterback ever, like talent wise, like in terms of just skills. Tom Brady's the greatest, but Aaron Rodgers could do things that were just exceptional. And you won 1 Super Bowl with him.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, and just couldn't get in. So he'll get you great regular season success. He'll win you a playoff game. He's not winning it all for you. Adam Schefter says he's expected to be a candidate in Chicago and New Orleans for Mike McCarthy. Him going to Chicago would just be weird.
Yes.
It's always weird. He was a Packer, and then you're going to the Bears, and we've seen that a lot with that division. Aaron Jones going to the Vikings, Brett Favre playing for the Vikings. Wasn't Greg Jennings a receiver that played for the Packers and the Bears? So it happens. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know who would be the guy that would take the Dallas Cowboys job now. Like the one that Bears want to speak to, and I don't know if I don't want him to leave where he is, but it's Marcus Freeman, who's the head coach of Notre Dame. He has done some great things at Notre Dame since he took over for Brian Kelly. It is a different step jumping up to the National Football League. But he seems to be a leader. It seems like he can inspire. Can that work in the NFL, though? Jerry Jones has had success taking a college coach, potential national coach, winning coach. We'll see if Marcus Freeman can do it. He took Jimmy Johnson from the Miami Hurricanes, and they won Super Bowls. I wonder if they would jump in on Marcus Freeman.
I don't think so.
No?
I'm going to tell you two names that jump to the top of my head immediately that are Jerry Jones moves. Kellen Moore used to be
the
OC in Dallas, and they moved on from him.
Under Mark McCarthy.
Yes.
No?
In the beginning part, I believe he was. I believe so. Could be wrong. But now he's gone on to a couple other opportunities. He's now the OC in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia's offense is doing pretty good and whatnot.
They pump out head coaches.
Jerry Jones likes what he knows, and he knows Kellen Moore.
He likes that, but he also likes names.
Yeah, because I always had Belichick on my mind. The other one, the DC in Detroit is Aaron Glenn, and he's getting some good traction.
Clausen wants him with the Jets.
Clausen wants him with the Jets. Well, he used to be a Dallas Cowboy. So that's a name that comes to the top of the list because Jerry Jones knows him. Those are two names that are going to be in the mix for sure.
I'll tell you a name that Jerry Jones should go higher. Pete Carroll.
I could see it.
Pete Carroll's a good coach.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised when the Seahawks did move on from him because he had some good success after, with teams that we didn't think were going to do successful. I think if you're Jerry Jones, get Pete Carroll for 3-4 years. He will get the best. It seems like he's fun to play for. I would go get Pete Carroll. It's a name, and I think he would be successful.
He's older though. As a game passed him by, so
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Because another name that is kind of hot out there, and I'm gonna forget his name.
He is 73. That's throw the age there.
I don't love that. I mean, I want Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson should be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
So his last couple seasons with the Seahawks, since 2020, he went 12-4 in 2020, went 7-10 in 21, went 9-8 in 22. I think that was his first year without Russell Wilson, or was it his second year without Russell? And the next year went 9-8. Yeah, no, I think he went Geno 2 straight years. It was above 500 in both those. And I don't know. I don't think we looked at those Seahawks teams and thought that they were the best built.
No.
You give him Dak, you give him CD, you give him some of that, especially some of those defensive players. I would like Pete Carroll there.
Another name I like, I just had to double check. Liam Cohen is OC in Tampa Bay right now. And so the offense that he created there, I mean, he's an up and coming OC that is very creative and kind of Ben Johnson-ish. So I could see him getting a potential look too. But I don't know. It's what is Jerry going to do?
You're forgetting one name that's a free agent.
Who?
Jay Woodcroft. Give him a kick at the can in the NFL.
In the NFL. Well, hey, what was that show that was so good where the football coach became the soccer coach?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Jay Woodcroft will be the NFL.
He just needs to grow a
Ted Lasso.
mustache.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. So what? Who's still vacant? Bears are still vacant.
Everyone's
Jets are still vacant
except for
Giants are still vacant.
But so many teams are waiting on Ben Johnson. I mean, there's so many potential guys. Like that Liam Cohen, he's going to get some play now. But
You got Bears, Jags, Raiders, Saints, Jets, all looking. Oh yeah, no, the Giants don't need one. I forgot. They to me they probably should. Bears, Jags, Raiders, Saints, Jets, and now the Cowboys. So 6 openings still currently.
Well, like out of all sports jobs though, like overall, I know in the NFL, like there's certain teams in the NHL. If you're the coach of the Maple Leafs or the Oilers, it's big news. But like just to be a coach in the NFL, I feel like compared to all the other coaching positions in all the other sports, That's the biggest one for sure. Like once you make it as a NFL coach, it's like, wow, okay, yeah. And then there's those certain teams, especially like the Cowboys, as you guys mentioned, that would be huge just for anyone to sit there.
Here's a couple of things. I obviously follow on X a bunch of Cowboys media and things like that. The Dallas Cowboys by choice. This is what I was talking about earlier about how he doesn't do anything. The Dallas Cowboys by choice allowed an entire week's worth of head coaching interviews to take place across the NFL, including the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel because they dragged their feet. Unserious, incompetent franchise.
And that's the one thing that I would agree with is that you've allowed these other teams to maybe get the head start talking to these coaches.
Yeah.
You're not getting Mike Vrabel. I'm sorry. I'll throw that one out there.
Yeah, he was going where he was going for sure.
He's, I think, now the 7th coach, or is he the 8th, to have won a Super Bowl with the team and now is coaching that team. Like, I don't know why, I stand by, I don't know why the Titans fired him initially when they did. It just seems right that Mike Vrabel is going to the New England Patriots. If there was someone to replace Bill Belichick, it should have always been Mike Vrabel. Yeah. With how good he was. Jay texts me, Jay Mill, glue guy, EST Afternoons, or Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Mill. That's EST Afternoons from 3 to 6. Doug Peterson would be a nice fit in Dallas. That would be a good one.
Wow. I have heard that name too. But here's another guy that I like a lot, does Locked On Cowboys podcast and some other writing. His number 1 choice, Ben Johnson. Number 2 choice, Liam Cohen, the name I just mentioned. Then he has a list of 7. Joe Brady, who's another big name in the mix. Number 4, he has Todd Monken. I don't even know who that is.
Joe Brady's the OC of Bills. Todd Monken's OC of the Ravens.
Okay.
Who did, like, the Ravens offense this year did something that's never been done before, I believe, or Lamar did something that's never been done before.
Here's one I like. Number 5, Brian Flores. He was the head coach in Miami, did really good, and they got rid of him. I don't know why.
Locker room. It was tough. Locker room needed him to go. Yeah. Now he's with the Vikings, I believe.
Josh McCown, number 6. Aaron Glenn, who I mentioned, number 7. So there's some names to not
how Marcus Freeman doesn't leave Notre Dame. I want to see what he keeps doing. I'm not a Notre Dame guy, but I want to see what he keeps doing there because he took over when Brian Kelly left because Brian Kelly went to LSU going, the resources aren't there to win a national title, and Brian Kelly's not gone to the college football playoffs, and Marcus Freeman is coaching in a national championship game in a week from today. A week from today, which is... Marcus, please get it done. Knock down Ohio State. I can't stand Ohio State. I hate Ohio State.
I don't think they will, though.
I don't either, and I wouldn't have said that, but I was surprised how close Texas got in the end. Texas had an awful possession and goal from the 1, and they could have tied that. They should have tied that. It should have went to overtime, largely. Ohio State was better, but maybe Notre Dame can get it. The thing about football is it's just one game.
Yeah, anything can happen in one game.
The New England Patriots should have been undefeated. You play that Super Bowl again, the Patriots are taking down the Giants. I'm sure of it. They're not an 18-1. They're 19-0 that season. They were all year. They were the better team. But in the game that mattered, they didn't get it done, and the Giants did, and the Giants get the Super Bowl, and they forever will be the Super Bowl champs of that one. You just need that one game.
Yeah.
Come on, Marcus Freeman. Come on, Notre Dame. Get this done.
I'm with you. I would much prefer that as well.
Is it Notre Dame? Is it Notre Dame? Is it Notre Dame?
It's Notre Dame. The university is Notre Dame. The cathedral is Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah. Like it just depends on what kind. There's a bazillion words that are said differently in USA than they are in Canada. I mean,
potato.
Exactly. So tomato, tomato. Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say potato or tomato though. But I've only lived in
tomato,
Canada.
Potato, potato.
Yeah.
Bronco Nick, first and goal from the 1. You don't sneak it in. Sarkisian screwed up. Yeah, like that pitch to the outside or whatever it was. It was so dumb and immediately go down. It was also like the Commanders almost blew it yesterday. And won. I think it was them. Yeah, they got stuffed and they were at the 1. I can't believe that these teams
fumbled 2 plays later at the 10. Isn't that what happened?
No, that was one they went for 4th down and they dropped because they had a run play I think too that they lost yards.
Interesting.
I have a confession about that game, the Commanders game, actually.
Yes, you said you wanted to get to confessions. This isn't the Nielsen show. This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada storage experts, more than 2 decades, helping Canadians through life's transitions. Right now, snowy savings, first 4 weeks free, plus free cancellation. Sentinel.ca for more information. Confession.
Storage. Well, I just want to say maybe that's where all the stuff that Dusty cleaned up is being stored right now.
We could use a storage for all that stuff. We had a lot
We
here.
definitely could. Oh, yeah.
When I came in and I looked, Dusty cleaned up quite a bit. Like, he did a
No,
great
seriously.
job. Round of clicks for Dusty's cleaning skills and organizational
Why
skills.
is the boss the one doing that though?
That's a good question. I've come in and
I thought about
vacuumed and
doing
I've
it.
cleaned up every so often. But I don't know. We're all in it together.
Yeah.
There is no hierarchy to a degree.
You don't have a schedule of
I was just
We
who's
should
gonna say-
maybe get to
responsible?
that.
Yeah.
I was
People-
thinking of maybe doing like a monthly, like you sign up, pick which month you want to be the vacuumer type thing or something. But
Well, I am-
organization,
well,
like it's a lot
Zachticum,
cleaner.
so.
It was great.
So have somebody be responsible for organizing stuff. One person responsible for dusting. One person responsible for
dusting.
vacuuming.
I'm taking over vacuuming if I have to.
We gotta fight for that one.
I could just
split
use,
it- split
I
up
could
the
use
duties.
seniority here.
Split up
Hey.
the duties. Then
No
everyone knows.
hierarchy.
Then everyone knows what they're responsible for. Then you know if someone's slacking on the vacuuming, hey, Iwanyk, get on it.
The Georgian satellite.
get
That's
on
just a
an
good
Iwanyk.
leader. That's the thing with Dusty. When you see that stuff happen, we're all into this together.
Yeah, exactly.
Confession.
Well, yeah, let's get to that. Thanks, Dusty, by the way. I was thinking about cleaning. He did it for me. Somehow, I didn't realize. And I was vacuuming at my own house. Like, I was doing cleaning and stuff, just running around. So I had the game on in the background. And I sat down for a few minutes, kept watching the game. Okay, cool, the Commanders are winning. But then I didn't realize until way later in the day that I was actually watching the wrong game.
What do you mean you were watching the wrong game?
What?
It was the highlights from the September 8th game that the teams played previously.
You didn't realize it
And
was
I didn't
just
realize that.
highlights?
How did you?
Because it was
what
the
channel
full
were you
game being
watching?
run. It was NHL game highlights package, but I never changed the channel because it was on one of the games earlier in the day. And then it went straight into the highlights. And I'm like, okay, it's
So-
got to be the next game. I didn't look at the schedule. I'm like, I know there's 3 games today. I know it's a wild card. There's going to be games all day. So I just kept the TV rolling, and it ended up just being NFL game highlights. And they beat the Buccaneers 37-20. And I'm like, great. Okay, that's a good win. Wow. Jay's going to be happy. So then I turned my TV on later in the day. And this is like 4 hours later. Like I was doing some stuff and got back to sitting down and watching some football. And I'm like, wait, is the game still on? And then I saw the doink happen. And I'm like, so I watched the completely wrong game.
You didn't.
Oh
it was
my
completely the wrong
God.
time too. You didn't know what time the
No,
game started.
I didn't check what time because I just
Oh my
look at the
God.
schedule and I know which games are in which row. I'm like, okay, like Bills are playing, cool, awesome. Oh, that's the game that I highlighted too, that I really wanted to watch because I'm in solidarity with Jay.
Can I ask why you would actually admit this publicly? That
I respect
that
it.
happened?
Because it
Oh
hurts
my
me,
gosh.
man. Like I don't know. I have to go back and then watch the game again before next week because I was excited for the game. That was the thing. And they still won. So either way, I mean, I watched the Commanders win, but I watched them win twice. So there we go.
Yeah, you didn't see any
Wow.
Packers,
There we go.
Eagles,
Yeah.
obviously, because you're watching Commanders.
No, I was like,
Bucks
yeah.
from earlier, but
Because it was the wrong way
Good
around.
for you.
Jeez. I don't know why they have because they had no like cuts in the break either because it was just the full game. And then I was
Bet
like,
you didn't clue in.
then
From
I
that?
turned my TV on. I'm like, this is the wrong game. It was like the Vikings playing Thursday Night Football. I'm like, why does it say
fuck.
Thursday Night Football on the bottom? So I changed my TV channel. I'm like, was this the game highlights? So then I changed it to the actual game and then I watched the rest of it. Yeah.
so,
Anyways, no judging.
Lars, Y, and Jay are both judging you, saying both said sometimes it's better not to say too much.
Yeah.
Jasmine says, "Oh, Zachy."
Oh, Zach.
It's it's
That's a Jasmine thing to say.
things could get messed up.
Well,
Hey,
yeah.
look, he's still. You watched both games. You just watched it twice. You were prepping.
Yeah.
You wanted to watch the second version, like yesterday, the actual game, with knowledge of how the first meeting went.
So I knew kind of the
You want to
storyline.
refresh yourself and be like,
exactly,
okay,
yeah.
well, this is how the Commanders beat the Bucks earlier this season. Couldn't they do that again?
Yeah.
That's all you were trying to do there, Zach.
Yeah, I would never do that with the Oilers though. Like I need to get into football so bad. Like I need to be on top of those other sports. And I was thinking about prepping. I was like, oh man, even with the CFL, I was like their entire coaching staff. I know nothing about Mark Hillam or up and down the entire list to like Jason Tucker, the kicker or the receiver coach. And I'm just like, I need to read up on this stuff. Haven't done that yet, but yeah, no, I was too ahead of myself. Yeah, I was doing the prep while the other games were on because I cared more about the Commanders, Jay. So,
Han Berger, who's also flaming in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Would Jerry Jones hire Deion Sanders? That's actually a name we didn't say out there.
Absolutely.
You don't think Jerry Jones absolutely looks like a guy that would hire Deion Sanders?
No, but if he does,
you can see how Jerry Jones is going to have that press conference with Deion Sanders and sit there and say Deion's the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, you could see that actually happening. Because I 100% can.
And somehow they trade up to number 5 overall and get Travis Hunter in the.
They ain't drafting him if they trade up.
Well, wait, you can't just sign Dak Prescott to that contract and draft Shadir Sanders.
If you're getting Deion, you will.
Who's not going to be a very good NFL quarterback, I don't think.
I agree, but I could absolutely see Jerry Jones hiring Deion Sanders and them doing what they can to get it. They won't need to trade up for his son, I don't think, to a degree. Yeah, you can't believe we didn't mention Deion there, but that is a potential to me. I'll throw that out there just because it is.
So how about
it's
this?
Jerry Jones.
How about this for another crazy rumor I'm just seeing? So last night, my Blackhawks farm team played a game and ended up only playing like 17 skaters and late scratched Artem Levshunov and Paul Ledwinski, two, obviously Levshunov was number 2 overall last year. Ledwinski is a former 3rd round draft pick that's first year pro, and Joey Anderson, who just got sent down to the minors, who's under contract for next year. They all scratched him mysteriously late before the game. Rumor of Elias Patterson coming to the Blackhawks for a package that would include those 3 guys. Whoa. I don't know if I believe that, but
you'd be happy
unless they're like a trade's happening today. I don't know why you'd hold those guys out.
Well,
yesterday, like that's the thing.
I know. I think that might just be somebody speculating with nothing to back it up. I would think, but holy, Artem Levshunov for Elias Patterson.
Well, would you like to see that as a Blackhawks fan?
I don't know. Levshunov, number 2 overall, big right-handed D-man that's going to be a minute eater, stud defenseman for a decade after he plays in gets a year or 2 in the minors first.
Mm-hmm.
For Elias Patterson, I don't he's still young and 100-point a game guy. He's a center though. Connor Bedard's a center. I don't know if I like it.
I mean, you could kind of you could toss him around, maybe throw him on the wing or something like that. But like the Blackhawks, they have quite a few defensemen.
Their defense
they have
core
Kevin
is going to be
Korchinski all the way up.
unbelievable.
It's just going to be great.
Another D-man, University of Minnesota, in the mix for Hobie Baker Award this year. Point a game guy on defense, former 1st-round draft pick. He's only 20 years old. What the hell's his name right now? But their D-core is loaded. But whoa, I don't know. That's a scary trade. Interesting.
The official drink of the EST Hangout. It is the Finnish Long Drink Legend in 1952, a drink unlike any other sparkling refreshment, real liquor. Longdrink.com/Canada is where you can enter your postal code and find a liquor store nearest
Try it again.
you. No. That was an awful toss of the card. For those listening, I tried throwing the card, and that was one of my worst, saddest attempts I've ever had. That it landed next to me.
Looked like a Lamar throw this weekend against the Bills.
Not a chance. Lamar's he's not a chance. That was very. I'm sorry, Finnish Long Drink. That was not right. You can get, if you're going to the Oilers game tonight, you can get the Finnish Long Drink. They have a partnership with OEG, so you can get it at Rogers Place. I will say, one of the turning points, kind of the Bills Broncos game was the toss Josh Allen had on 4th and I think it was 4th and 1.5 or whatever it was. That was a touchdown pass where it looked like he was going to get sacked. Play was broken and he throws at the end zone. The guy gets the knee down before his feet go out. That should be an interesting battle because Ravens absolutely ran all over the Bills earlier this year. But that was in Baltimore. Now they're going to Buffalo, where I believe the Bills are undefeated this season. It's going to be a tight game.
That is going to be a barn burner.
The 2 favorites for MVP meeting. I'm worried. I've got my worries, but I'm also like,
be worried.
well, but it's also when like the three teams of the AFC really are the Texans, Ravens, and the Bills. If my Ravens fall to the Bills,
Texans, Ravens.
or sorry,
you're
Chiefs,
missing somebody.
Chiefs.
Yeah?
I didn't mean Texans. I meant the Chiefs. The Texans were that fourth team kind of there. If my Ravens ultimately lose to the Bills, it's like they lost to a good football team. Like, as long as they don't get blown out, I think I'll be upset in the moment, but I could be like, okay, they're just a good football team too, and anything can happen in that singular game.
The way I look at that game is Buffalo against Baltimore. Like you look at either of those teams' road to win the Super Bowl. One of those teams is going to win the game. Then they're going to go on to play the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they're likely going to go on to play the Detroit Lions. If you say Baltimore, Baltimore beats Buffalo, KC, Detroit, back to back to back, wow. Is that ever deserving of a Super Bowl championship?
The Ravens have a great plus-minus point differential against teams that are good. They have a weaker one against teams that are bad. For whatever reason, the Ravens actually do get up for games against good teams, which that gives me some hope.
Yeah.
We'll see how the running goes for that one. I do quickly want to throw out some love to our Canadian Nick Taylor. Big win on the Sony Open. I'll give Nick Taylor a round.
I don't know how to click, but I'm going to pretend I'm clicking.
That's fine. For those that were, because I was flipping between that, and I was thankful that the Eagles-Packers game was kind of becoming crap. It was over, and also then it ended and the other game hadn't started. Nick Taylor, Eagles, chips in for Eagle.
Unbelievable. That's so
just
fun.
off 18. Goes to minus 16. His partner hits a birdie putt after a great chip out of a bunker to go to minus 16. They have a share of the lead going into the clubhouse. It's a par 5, reachable in 2. There was 2 groups left. The last group had 2 other guys that had a chance. They both messed up. So it was a playoff between the 2 of them. They tied the first playoff hole. Then Nick Taylor goes out, second playoff hole, gets it done. He is 3-0
in playoffs.
His career in the playoffs.
5th career win. I mean,
the career
guy's
win.
A player. He's
knows how to get an eagle.
Yeah.
Did it at the Canadian Open.
Yes.
With the win.
Oh, yeah. With the bomb putt.
The walk-off eagle.
Putt, yeah.
And goes and chips for 8 on 18 to get it to get him a spot in for the playoffs, and then gets the win. So Nick Taylor, it's nice to see whenever Canadians go win on these tours.
Oh, it is.
It was awesome to watch.
At 5 wins, is he the best male Canadian player ever?
He doesn't have a major. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mike Weir's got the major. Mike Weir's got a few PGA wins too.
So how many PGA wins would he have to have, no major, for you to say that trumps Weir's Masters?
Weir's got 8 PGA victories.
Weir has 8.
He has 8, and he has a Masters title.
I didn't realize he had 8. Okay, so he hasn't matched Weir's career yet, but he's 5. 5's a good number.
I think you'd have to, to me, I'd have to probably be if he was between 12 and 15, I could maybe have a conversation. And it depends which PGA victories, though, also. Because the Sony Open, if you look at the field, it wasn't that good of a field.
No, it wasn't.
Hideki was there. Corey Connors was there. But there wasn't a lot after that. If you're going for names.
Sahith Theegala was there.
He was. The Waste Management Open is a big win.
Yeah.
He goes
Open
great field.
Is not a great field either, but it's
Canadian,
big.
I'd have to go. Canadian Opens has had some decent fields. Was it not?
No, because they changed the date of it. But to win in your home soil like that is that's pressure.
Where else did he win? I gotta go see his other wins. Sanderson Farms Championship, which was nothing. He did win the Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
Field, yeah.
So he's got a couple, but. Yeah, I think and he's 36, so I don't think he would.
I didn't realize Weir at 8.
Weir won back-to-back Nissan Opens, I believe, when he also won that one, the Masters. So,
but right, it is so cool to see a Canadian win. And you know what? I looked at the leaderboard earlier in the day, and at one time there was 22 guys within 2 strokes of the lead on round 4. 22. Like, holy, what a barn. And it did spread itself out over the course of the day, but my goodness, what a tournament. If you have 22 guys on day 4 within 2 strokes of lead, that's crazy.
But it was a nice one. Actually, so Tommy and I lived in the same building, and I was at my parents for dinner, And I watched the first playoff of my parents, and they don't live too far from me. So then I was like, okay, I'm going home. Like, I need to rush home. It was like, done, like, need to go home for some things. And so I left after playoff 1, wanted to get home in time for playoff 2. And as my elevator opened up, Tommy was coming out.
Oh.
And I was short with Tommy. He's like, oh, hey, Tommy. And Tommy, I think, wanted to talk, but I got in that elevator and scanned my way up. And I texted him after. I'm like, so I'm sorry, but I wanted to get upstairs to see the end of this playoffs. Yeah. And I got upstairs in time. But I was very rude to Tommy in a sense where I was just like, no, I don't want to talk. Well, Nick Taylor's on to playoff hole number 2. I want to go see him win.
Well, at least you texted him and let him know that it wasn't him.
Yeah. I immediately texted. Like, I was like, sorry, I wanted to get upstairs for the end of this playoff. Like, I missed the tee shots, but I saw the rest of it, and I wasn't missing out on that one. Tomorrow in golf, we also got, I think the team initially I'm going to jump on, it is the LA GCs taking on Jupiter in the GCL, or the GL, the TGL.
The TGL?
TGL.
Yeah.
The golf league tomorrow?
No, tomorrow
golf
league.
What is it?
I know you were on with Reed and Jay last week, but what'd you think?
You know, it's okay. I mean, to me, it's not real golf. A lot of the guys who were playing were pretty rusty. Not, chipping and putting on artificial turf is a lot different than real grass. So they were having some struggles adjusting. Although Aberg, he was hot.
Great.
He played great, and the game the match was a blowout. So
yes,
didn't have a lot of drama. So. But you want to know what? It's cool. It's getting new eyes on the sport. And anytime you can get new eyes on the sport, some of those people are going to love it, and they're going to end up on golf courses and help grow the game. So I'm all on board with it. Not going to be something that I have dialed in to watch every week. I mean, if I catch some highlights here and there, or, if I have nothing else going on, maybe watch it. But so it doesn't have my attention that much. But I do think it's awesome.
There's a couple minor tweaks I want to see done. I think they need more time between shots. The players were rushing it. They were rushing. There was not a lot of time to analyze the shot. There wasn't a lot of time where the player could, like, even because they're all mic'd up, maybe talk about what they're thinking about doing with the next shot. It was like immediate. Because, like, now some of the golfers were a little slow yesterday, but okay, the playoff hole, the 2 golfers hit, they walk to the next ball. So there's that time. And then the shot clock starts for them.
Yeah.
The 40-second shot clock is what they have in the PGA. I think they need to go to maybe a minute. I think just that little bit of extra time.
Could you get it into 2 hours then?
Well, they didn't tee off last week until probably about 7:20 because it was. But I think that was also because it was the first
one. They need to explain all the rules, and as it carries on, they probably won't need to do that as much as people will know.
I think you probably still can get it within the 2 hours. It's just one of those. It just seemed way too quick.
Yeah.
And I would like maybe a little more of the announcers looking at that shot and the close-ups that we get in the regular golf and things like that. I also do want a little more, like, and it's not score competition, but competition between the golfers.
Yeah.
They were like, felt like an all-star game. We're all just here having fun and having a good time, which isn't then a league to me.
Yeah.
This is just a bunch of golfers having a good time. And that's cool. If that's what it turns into, then that's fine. But then it's not a league to me. They don't have teams. Just announce which 6 golfers this week are meeting up to have some fun.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna have teams, then I want a little more.
I don't want to kick the other team's
butt. A little
more
more competition, a little more focus, if you will.
Well, the 3-person alternating shot thing, that's kind of cool.
I love it.
Yeah. And the second part, maybe
where
not,
they go to singles?
Yeah, maybe not quite as appealing to me. I don't know what you thought. But so that's the other piece too, is if they extended out the shot clock a little bit, maybe knock off a hole or 2 of that singles and tighten it. It's like 15 holes. What's 15 holes? Could it be 12?
That's true. Yeah. I will say the one thing is by the time we got to singles, it was done.
That match was.
And that's maybe, so now if it's closer, does it change?
Yeah. I love the fact that they didn't have Rory. Rory's in this week. Tiger's in next week.
No, Tiger's this week.
Oh, Tiger's
because he's
Rory's
Jupiter
next week.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I thought that was brilliant on their part, not to shoot their shot on day one.
That was risky.
They were going to get their eyes on it anyways because it was week 1. Now because Tiger's tonight and Rory's next week, eyes are going to get on it just because it's Tiger and Rory. So I don't know. And then by then, hopefully, people that have been watching, they'll be engaged and want to keep watching. But It'll be interesting.
Now, how does that work with the alternating shots? Like, how do they determine which player goes first on that team?
The team decides before the match. 1, 2, 3.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, who's the better driver of the ball? Who's the better iron player? Who's the better short game guy? So you strategically line up your players to hit where their strengths generally would lie.
Okay. Do they play like a specific course virtually
They're designed.
each week? So they're fully designed. They're
So
brand new?
right now there are 30 holes designed for TGL.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's today or tomorrow they'll announce which 15 holes the golfers play. And they're virtual. They're not real holes. They're not like
they're not based off.
They're
like,
not based off
Pebble
things.
Okay.
There was one really gimmicky hole last week that there was you could attack the hole 3 ways. There was the left and the right fairways that you can go to, but you have a longer shot towards the green, or you can go straight. But there was this weird ass bunker that was in the middle that you'd have to go over, and it was a very small fairway. But if you land there, it's a much shorter shot.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, no golfer went for the challenge. They went to the outsides and played in. So I was like, well, this kind of goes away. And the gimmicky part of it was a little weird. But it's all just designed holes, which I think, I saw this on Reddit. Somebody brought up an idea. It was like, could you do like a fan-created hole for each match?
That'd be awesome.
A fan-created hole. Like fans submit holes, and they create them. And then each match, there's one that's been created by a fan.
Like a challenge
which would be fun.
hole, yeah.
I thought too, like, it's cool that they're not real holes, but could you maybe mix in, say, get people pumped for some of the majors this year, and maybe have the signature hole on a couple of the majors, the courses that the majors are being played on this year, or just kind of sprinkle them in. Hey, this is the third hole on whatever course, right?
There is no connection. I don't think there's a partnership with the PGA right now. But could you do it where, like, okay, can you do it even just a hole from the next week's coming up?
Yeah.
Okay, this week is, what event is this weekend coming up? It's not Farmers Insurance. I forgot who's up this next weekend. But is there a hole from there you can take?
Yeah. And kind of get
promote,
people.
hey, this Thursday, tune into Golf Channel because we've got this event.
Yeah.
Or that's going on. That would be a fun way of doing it even.
I like that. But yeah, you know what? It's going to evolve over time. I actually don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's going to stick.
If they don't make any adjustments to it,
They'll make adjustments.
I know, but if they don't, I could see it not surviving to a second year. Truthfully,
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
but they had good TV numbers for the first TGL.
More eyes were on it than we're on Live Tour. So
There was.
Yeah.
The first broadcast was just shy of 1 million on ESPN, 919,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Naturally, to your point, you would think they would be able to hold that for Tiger.
Oh, for sure they will.
And they should be able to hold a lot of that for Rory, but it'll be okay, can they continue to stay in that, or what type of drop? Because naturally your first one is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So we'll see the rest of that going. But I had a little more hope for it. I don't think it's right now for me going to be must-watch Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
It'll be if nothing's on, I could throw it on and have it going.
Yeah.
I do kind of hope, though, that it gets to a point where I want to watch it every week because I was pumped about last week.
Yeah,
and again,
good.
I think Team LA is going to be my team.
How many teams are there,
find-
and what are
I think
the
there's
team names?
6, yeah. Who's on your team?
Let me
you
go
like?
find
It better
it.
be Tigers. Come on.
No, Tiger's
It's all
Jupiter.
Tiger all the
Tiger's
time.
Jupiter. It's his
Did
home.
they just make how do they find these names? Do they,
I don't know how they came up with it's the Boston Common Golf.
the Boston
and the Atlanta Drive Golf Club. How they came up with the cities, which I still don't like the idea that they're cities since they're not playing in cities.
Yeah.
They're owned. These teams are actually owned.
Ah.
So the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Blank, owns Team Atlanta.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. but
Fenway
even then-
Sports Group, who owns the Red Sox, they own the Boston team. Tiger Woods and some guy named David Blitzer, who is the managing partner of the Devils and the 76ers. They own the Jupiter team. Venus Williams, Serena Williams, and Alexis Ohanian, I'm getting that spelled wrong, I'm just pronouncing that wrong, they own LA. Steve Cohen, who owns the Mets, owns the New York team. And Mark Lassery, who is the co-owner of the Bucks, and Steph Curry owned the San Francisco team. So the teams, Atlanta is Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Billy Horschel, and Lucas Glover. Boston is Rory Hideki, Keegan Bradley, and Adam Scott.
That's a good team.
Team Jupiter, who clearly Murray's a fan of. Tiger, Max Homa, Tom Kim, Kevin Kisner. LA, my team. Colin Morikawa, Sahith Theegala, Justin Rose, and Tommy Fleetwood. Team New York were awful last week. Matt Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele, and Cameron Young. Because they got 4, and so like only three show up, though. In San Francisco, we saw last week is Aberg, Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee, and Shane Lowry. Go Team LA. Just nice black and white, classic look. Might get some merch.
Oh boy.
So do they all wear like a little? I didn't tune in. Do they wear like a little uniform? Like, do they got like a full get up, or how does that work?
Well, the golf looking stuff, but it has their logo on it and stuff.
okay.
I think their hat they're wearing is, I think their golf, like what they wear on the PGA Tour,
That'd be
says
pretty
their
funny.
sponsors.
True. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny if they just wore like, with the black and gold or whatever color you said. Like they got black and gold like pants or shorts or whatever they can wear, if they can wear shorts, and then black and gold. Like they got their team uniform. Because in a team, I feel like that's one big thing, right? And I know it's golf. You're part of the same group. You got the logo, but it would be funny. It would be more gimmicky.
Well, honestly, I'm trying to remember if I don't think they were wearing shorts. I think they were in pants.
So yeah, pants. Yeah.
I don't think it matters. Like I don't think they'd be as upset.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I got a few things to get to here quickly. My brother is cheering for Atlanta, but he's a Falcons fan. He also says F Ohio State.
You should just call them the Falcons then. Like if they're owned by a certain sports franchise.
Why their owner owns it. Justin Dunk says contract talks, quote unquote, ongoing between the Elks and Eugene Lewis. He'd have to take a significant pay cut, I believe, if they're going to keep him around.
I was going to ask you what you thought of the...
MBT is signed with the Owls through 2025, so MBT will be the backup out there. CFL coaches are speaking today. There's winter meetings going on. A quote from Elks head coach Mark Killam, quote unquote, "I'm going to effing bring it in Edmonton."
I love this guy.
That's
he's going to be awesome.
"I'm going to effing bring it in Edmonton" is from Mark Killam, and I'm assuming he said the full word. Yeah, we'll go with that one there. I'm trying to see if I have any updates from Oilers practice. The only thing I see right now, because they're on the ice, Rashog has a tweet that they have LA City Fire Department stickers on the Oilers helmets.
Oh, that's cool.
As a nice show of solidarity with what's going on with all the disaster of the wildfires out in LA. I'm not seeing anything else right now on my phone. If any, somebody's saying Chris G in the Nasty Chat said, "Looks like no Skinner again tonight, healthy scratch." So I was just trying to see the full thing, and I don't see anything there. But the Eugene Lewis surprises me. Ed doesn't seem like a guy that's going to spend a lot of money on his receivers, like overpay.
We just released Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, but that seemed about right.
Yeah.
He never recapped the magic of his rookie season.
Yeah. So what's your guys' take on the coaching staff? It's freaking loaded, I think. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
I've heard nothing but great things about everybody who is either projected to be on the team who now really is. I mean, Jordan McSimic was supposed to be a part of the team. Now he is. And then Mark Killam was the other big name. Like
JC Sherritt.
JC Sherritt. Sorry,
defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, Steven Solaris. He's the only holdover.
Retained coach,
but he was on the O-line and they did a great job. The Elks signing Marches Ivy, which was a big signing this weekend. Aaron Grimes, Jason Tucker.
Yeah,
it makes sense too. Jordan McSimic is the offensive coordinator, assistant head coach. Tucker was with him in BC, so there's that familiarity on the offense right there. Demetrius Maxey, special teams coordinator, defensive assistant. That is interesting since he's never been a special teams coordinator.
Well, he's got a little help.
So
he's got a little help.
That's a little bit of help. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything happens, he could easily go talk to his head coach for a little bit of that. So that'll be interesting.
The head coach will have a lot of input into that.
It's a younger staff, but I like Jordan McSimic has been around for a while now in the end. So he I wouldn't put him as like a full veteran coach coordinator in this league, but he's been around long enough that I'm not, like, one thing I would have liked with Mark Killam is a nice voice that he could rely on. There isn't that there. There isn't like that former head coach or one thing there. But I'm okay with that because McSimic has been an OC for a few years. And JC Sherritt was a DC in college down south for
Cal Poly, just 1 year as DC.
I thought it was a couple years.
Poly. DC was just 1 year, I believe.
Was it?
But the thing like that Mark Killam said is with McSimic is he said that Killam said, my strengths are on the defensive side of the ball and special teams. I needed an OC that could just command the offensive room and take it. And Jordan's that guy. And the familiarity with Edmonton, being from St. Albert and being part of the team before. I just love this coaching staff. 3 former players that were all great players for the team. Yeah, love it.
They need to get Niles Morgan locked up.
Yes.
That's the one that if they get Niles Morgan locked up before free agency, I don't think there could have been a better off season for the Edmonton Oaks.
No.
Period. Like, I don't even care what they do after free agency after that point. You got a solid middle linebacker.
Yeah.
You block up your top offensive lineman. You lock up Trey Ford. You bring back
running back
Chris,
room.
Mark Killam. Like, everything about it, it's just like, okay, this is check.
Yeah.
And now just get us the CFL schedule.
So you can book a golf tournament.
Well, I'm actually, it's funny because I'm just going to book because I only have a couple more days.
Well, to maintain that exact date, but
I don't see anything wrong with that date. Well, like, no, okay, I don't want, is it the date, the date or the day, like count Monday to Sunday through Saturday? I'll talk to you off there.
Yeah. If you were Wednesday the 16th of a month, it's one day different. So you'd be Wednesday the 15th.
Oh, so it's still, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to do that today and lock in what we were last year.
Sounds like a plan. EST golf tournament. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The Big Four. And then we're doing Super Bowl.
Oh, we've got the majors.
Yes, that's what
Our 4 pillars of our events. So the Fun Spiel. This is the first year we're doing all 4.
Fun Spiel is a major?
Fun Spiel is being added as a major. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't go well and the Fun Spiel gets taken off the list. But Fun Spiel is a major. EST Golf Classic, Nasty Bash, and then the Estes. Those are 4 majors of the year. So like we have other fun events. Like we'll be at Century Casino for Super Bowl. That's a nice players.
Yeah, players, for sure.
5th
Super Bowl,
championship type
Super
thing.
Bowl,
5th championship for us. There's other events that are great, but we have our 4 majors that I've said for over a year now that those are the big ones for us.
If the Super Bowl party is half as exciting as what it was last year, it's gonna be a hoot.
Well, especially if maybe it'd be a Dusty's favorite team against Matt Iwanyk's favorite team.
Or so there's a few options.
I don't know.
There's a few options right now. Dusty's got his Lions still in it. Jay's got his Commanders still in
They're
it.
not going to be
Bills?
very long.
I've got my Ravens in it. Eric's got his Bills in it.
Okay, Bills guy.
There's a few possibilities here that
At
have
least one.
that are opened up.
Would friendships be ruined over this?
Well, Eric and I are going up against it this weekend.
Yeah.
I know actually a few
It's not
Bills
the
fans.
Super Bowl.
Renee from Century is a Bills fan. Tyler Remchuk's a Bills fan. Got a few going
Connor
on.
Halley's sad.
Connor is out. His
Chargers fan.
Chargers are knocked out, but he's also used to it.
Burn.
He is. I remember there was one year he had to work something during, like, this was relatively recent, during the playoffs, and his Chargers were going to play. I'm like, hey, do you need me to fill in? Because Chargers like, no, they're going to blow this. It's just easier for me to work and not watch it.
Yeah. I saw on X a clip of Tyler Remchuk talking about right after the Blackhawks game, he said, play against Jason Dickinson. He goes, oh, he'd be a perfect target for the Oilers, but the Blackhawks would have to retain half and all this. I'm like, shut up, Tyler. You're not getting... He scored 20 goals last year. He's a guy in the conversation as a Selke Trophy kind of guy, one of the best defensive forwards in the league. You're not getting Dickinson from the Blackhawks at half retained to be the Oilers' 4th line center. Like, settle down. Oh my god.
He lugs around there on the ice too. Like, he looks like a heavy body, and he's got a wicked shot too.
He got 2 points in that game. Like, Blackhawks aren't trading him. Oh, silliness of people sometimes.
That will wrap up the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage for today, this Monday. Coming up, we do got the Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss, to look back on the weekend in the NFL, look at the game tonight, Rams, Vikings, as well as the NHL, 3 games on the schedule. Your team's involved, the Oilers and the Kings. We've got Oil Stream, EST Afternoons, the Reed Wilkins Show with JML, GCLD's Oil Stream pre- and post-game shows. That's the pre-game show gets going 6:30 to get you set for Oilers and Kings. Thanks for coming in earlier today, Zach. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in today here, Murray. On behalf of Zach, Murray, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in again for the EST Hangout Live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Up next, it is the Lock Shop. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today,